All right, don't adjust that screen. Yes, there's only one of us today, but welcome once again. Ooh, as I hit too many buttons. See, we're off to a great start. Welcome, everybody, once again to another episode of the Straub Sports Show. As you see, solo dolo. I am by myself as little bro once again skirts his podcast responsibilities for things that he thinks are more important than our show that we do for free, which is his real big boy job. Little bro got sent up to Michigan for his big boy job to go help some, I don't know, fix something, build a rocket, I don't know, fix a rocket, whatever him and his aerospace boys do. So shout out to little bro. He won't be listening because he doesn't listen when he's not on the show. So today I get to do what I want. And that's exactly how we're going to do it. So we are going to have some guests today. We may have more than one. That is tentative right now, but we do have one for sure coming up later on in the show. But first, let's do what we do here on the 216 Sports Network. I got to get it together here by myself today. Here on the 216 Sports Network, you can follow and like us on Facebook. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. We are 5K strong on the subscribers for the YouTube page. Thank you very much for that. If you would like to become a super friend and subscriber, hit that super thanks button. It'll be right next to our logo down there when you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you can say thanks. You can send us some stuff if you would like to. The 216 Sports Network, that's where you can find us, the Straub Sports Show. You can find us everywhere. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Twitter or X at Straub Sports. And you can catch us on Spotify to catch up on anything that you may have missed. And it isn't just us, it's the rest of the crew. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Straub Sports Show. Like I said, I already told you you can find us. Also, a big shout out, KZ Productions. We are on the Facebook and YouTube page today. Shout out to them for letting us rock with us. We're a little zoomed in today. You get to see more of the background. You see my guy here today. You already know what that means. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. But also a big shout out. As you see, we're soloed out today. Austin Fink, my guy over at Create Your Own Wave Apparel, for rocking with us as always. Got his logo on this bad boy right there, Create Your Own Wave. Make sure you check them out. Instagram, Create Your Own Wave 2021. But you can also make sure you check out that apparel at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. Don't ride the wave. Create your own. And because you know we repping the candy. Old Time Candy. Oldtimecandy.com. Get your retro box. I can't open it. It will literally fall on the floor because I have to open it up too wide. Here, I'll even do it anyways. Just for it. Yeah, it's getting low in there. You can see the bottom. It took us a while, but once this is what happens when the birthday boy goes through it. Oldtimecandy.com. I'm talking all your decades from 80s and 90s to the 50s and 60s. You can order a box by the decade. You can pack a bag, custom order, buy in bulk. Check it out. Use promo code SBSS for 15% off your order. Shout out to Pops. We absolutely about to break a leg. And shout out to my guy Nick. We in here already. Let's roll. I want to give another big shout out. It isn't just sponsors today. Cage Thunder MMA. I got to give them some love. They have an event coming up, Next Gen Fight Series 2 on July 27th at Chappelle's in Akron. Some local young guys. It's a good card. And the Straub Sports Show. Yeah, these guys right here. We will be there representing us and the 216 Sports Network. We're going to be there for some live weigh-in coverage. We're going to have a little pre-show. We're going to sit down with Alex. He does social media for Cage Thunder. We're going to go over the card. And then during the show itself, live on pay-per-view, Straub Sports Show, we're going to bring you some coverage on our Instagram, Straub Sports Show, as we always do. And we're going to bring you some live interviews with the fighters. That is going to be, like I said, July 27th at Chappelle's in Akron. Now, go to CageThunderMMA.com for tickets. And if you can't make it, check it out on pay-per-view on the website. Now, they have a big event, and my guy Nick was already on top of it. They have a big event coming August 17th. Thunder fight in the Flats, headlined by Bedford own Jarrell Hodge. Tickets on sale for that one. The Straub Sports Show will be in attendance in some capacity. We haven't worked out all the details yet. We got to get through the first event to see how we figure out the second event. But no, you were not wrong, Nick. You were on top of your stuff there. You were just one event ahead of me. But like I said, we will be there on the 27th. It's going to be a good time. If you follow the show, if you follow the 216 Sports Network, we've been dipping some of our stuff over there. But if you follow our Instagram page, Straub Sports Show, you see some of the stuff that we do at Akron City. It's been fun to do some stuff with them. The way we kind of do our halftime show, the kind of way we do our pregame stuff, and the way we do our interviews, that's what we're going to bring to this MMA thing. I'm super excited for it. It's one of the very few topics that I get to talk about on this podcast, specifically because usually this box is cut in half, and the other half of the Straub Sports Show ranks the MMA a little lower than he ranks some of the other things. It's high in my life. I love it. So we will absolutely be doing stuff in terms of Ray's question. Will we be doing some stuff in the octagon? Well, Cage Thunder MMA has their own. They have their own people. They have their own announcers and stuff. So we're going to be doing some side stuff. Now, our pre-show, I don't want to spoil too much, but our pre-show is going to be in the ring, which is going to be awesome and cool for us. Where exactly we're going to be doing our stuff, not 100% sure yet. But, man, trust me, Ray, if I can get in there, I'll be in there. You already know it. But so that's exciting for us. Check that out. Like I said, July 27th, we'll be boosting some more stuff around the social media as we get going on that too. Like I said, thanks again for rocking with us this week, and let's get rolling. Now, we were supposed to have somebody on the top of the show, but my man Rico McGee of the Rulers Minute, who absolutely is one of the hardest working men in sports and works a night job, he fell asleep on me or hasn't woken up yet. So we will touch base with him when we can. In the meantime, let's get rocking on the biggest news around the sports world today, while I do start to hammer out some social media stuff as well. Now, we had some Team USA news. Team USA has gotten started. They've finished up their warm-ups. They finished up the last of their exhibition games. Honestly, it's been a little closer than I thought with, them putting the whole Avengers together. The whole point about them putting this team together was, they didn't do too well, so they assembled everybody and they're going to blow everybody out. Well, newsflash, that has not happened. They played a close game with Canada. They did blow out Serbia, so I will give them there. But I think this is going to be one of the funnest Olympics in terms of basketball that we've had. And I have a hot take, so you can trash me in the comments. I don't care. I think this is going to be a better Olympics than the Dream Team. I'm going to let that breathe for a second. I think this is going to be a better Olympics than the Dream Team. And here's the reason why. Yes. Was it absolutely fun to have Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and David Robinson and all these guys? Yes, it is. It's an amazing thing. It is absolutely no fun. It is absolutely no fun watching teams just get blown up by 100, getting blown up by 50. I don't care how old I was. I don't care. That is absolutely no fun. This is going to be an Olympics with one of the deepest rosters. It's a stacked roster. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Derek White. We'll touch on that in a minute. But it's a deep roster. It's a talented roster, but this is the deepest and this is the best that anybody, this is the best and the deepest that any field has ever been in an Olympic tournament. These teams there's good talent around. The international guys, minus Joel Embiid, who has jumped ship and come home. Or I say jump ship and come here to the United States to play with us. I mean, these guys are wanting to play with their countries. They take pride in it. They're taking it serious. Luka and Jokic are ready as well. Giannis. I mean, this is a deep tournament. So I think this is going to be fun because we're going to have the best team. We're going to probably win. But at the same time, you're going to have some competition. I can't believe that you want to see everybody just go in and and blow teams out by 40. And I'm absolutely ignoring Craig in the chat over here talking about Brown is boo-boo and all his other stuff. But I'm just saying, and this is exactly what I'm talking about what Nick brought up. The overseas have gotten a lot better. Remember, we used to have to put the overseas together in an all-star game to be able to field a team good enough. It's not like that anymore. So I actually think I think this is better for Team USA. And as I get this social media together, and like I said, I think this is going to be a fun run to gold. I really do. Now, we do have to talk about some of the decisions that have happened with Team USA. Besides some of these close games, and it was brought up in the comment section. Derek White got invited, and why? Yeah, we got to talk about this. First things first. I mean, the reason there was a chance to invite Derek White. Team USA basketball made the decision to send Kawhi Leonard home. Now, originally, it was kind of thrown out that it was a Team USA and Clippers decision, and then shout out to the Clippers who flat out came out and were like, no, it was Team USA. So Team USA made the decision to send Kawhi home. Two of the big things that I heard, and I'll give them credit. Number one, yes, his knee, but Kevin Durant isn't fully healthy. And in Team USA's mind, there was a better opportunity for them to rehab Kevin Durant and get him healthy than it was for for Kawhi Leonard to then be helped. Now, if Kevin Durant's fully healthy, who knows if this decision even gets made? Maybe they have the opportunity and the resources. So that was one thing that played into this decision. And then the other just being just Kawhi's health, just in general, just not thinking it was going to be worth it. The facilities in Abu Dhabi are good, but they're not NBA level. So all of that stuff could play a part in it as well. But the decision to replace him with Derek White, instead of Finals MVP Jaylen Brown, I've listened to the explanations. They needed a defensive guard to back up Drew Holiday. The position, at small forward was kind of stacked. It's all trash. I mean, the whole, and the reason I say that is trash, as I'm gonna get the YouTube shared as well. The reason I say it's trash is this. This is not the team that was put together. And yeah, I'm going to shout out Ray's comment here too. It was not put together as a team where we're going to take this point guard and we're going to match it with this 2 guard and we're going to put it with this 3 because we want to play this type of way. And then we're going to have these guys come off the bench because we want to. No, it was, we want to assemble the damn Avengers. Okay, well, I'm sorry. As of right now, Jaylen Brown is one of the Avengers. Jaylen Brown is one of the top players in basketball right now. So I don't understand. Fine, you need a 2 guard. Hey, Jaylen, you're playing the 2 guard. How easy is this? This is not difficult at all. I want to give a shout out because he's normally brought up in anytime a selfish type of basketball is being played. Carmelo Anthony, before he got to Team USA, was only playing the 3 for Denver. He got to Team USA and he became one of the most dominant 4s in terms of playing on the Olympic level. And if you think I'm wrong, go back and look. Melo used to dominate in the Olympics. So I definitely want to give him a shout out. But Jaylen Brown, go play the 2. I mean, I know you're normally a 3. What are we doing here? If we're talking about taking the best players, assemble this Avengers. And I'm sorry to keep harping on that quote, but it was those guys who were the ones who put that out there. And one of our guests who was going to join us is going to join us a little bit sooner just because I'll end up being done rambling all by myself before I was originally supposed to. I just don't understand it. Now, there's been some conspiracy theories thrown around. Did Nike have a part to play in it? Nike has, and I guess I found this out myself, shoe companies have done this before. They've intervened in the Olympics and lobbied for guys to be on the roster. If you take a look at it, the only guys who are not Nike or Jordan guys, I believe, were Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, and Anthony. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. And then here, just because you can just everything that was given as a reason, you can just take apart. Ant-Man and Booker are going to occupy the two. So what you need a defensive point. Okay, so Jaylen Brown, you're going to play backup point guard. I don't care. It's the Olympics. Give me the best guys. And I'm sorry, Derek White is not one of the best 15 players that we as Americans can bring. And so that one kind of bothered me, but I'm just saying. And you know what? And Ray, and I'm not going to disagree with you about saying that Booker's a bit overhyped, but still, like Derek White still ain't playing over him regardless. And no, he's not. He's not one of the top 50 50 players at all. I'm sorry, and it's no disrespect to Derek White. He's a great role player. If I was starting a championship team, if the Cavaliers were really on the cusp, I would absolutely have no problems with bringing him in. But no, for Team USA, no, sorry, I'm really not here for it. I know. And Nick, because you just have to. No, he did not. Jaylen Brown did not look upset with Angel Reese, and that was apparently his girl. Then he stepped in his mouth making some comments about Brownie, but we'll see about that. Moving on from Team USA, like I said, the Olympics coming up, but we got plenty of time to talk about that. T. Higgins is going to play on the franchise tag as we start to dabble into some NFL news. I'm not going to touch on the quarterback list that was put out. I do find it absolutely hilarious that GM's named Dak Prescott still a top 10 quarterback. Shout out to you guys who will eventually influence my drunk draft pick at some point during my fantasy draft because of that. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey says the SEC is not recruiting other schools. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys knew I was going to start to do news that nobody would ever believe in your life. Although it has been reported that the SEC and the Big Ten have told Florida State, no, thank you, which is strange to me. I know a lot of it has to behind the scenes. A lot of it has to do with the fact that apparently Florida State is just being a pain in the ass, which is absolutely funny because if you heard anything that the ACC was complaining about, all of these teams have been kind of given carte blanche and, we just absolutely believe in them no matter what. And, it doesn't matter what they do. We'll love these teams. And if they want to go, they should be allowed to go. ACC was like, man, Florida State's kind of being jerks. And everybody was like, no, but Florida State. And then they got left out and no, Florida State. And now ACC says you're being a jerk. And now the SEC and the Big Ten are saying, no, we're good. Because you guys are kind of being jerks. At some point, when are we going to call the jerk a jerk? I don't know. Ray, you are a terrible person. He said the Pac-2 needs a new home. Shout out to the Pac-2, who they changed the website finally. So the only two schools, Oregon State and Washington State, they're the only ones there. Yeah, it's awful. Just rest in peace, Pac-12 football. Rest in peace, Pac-12 after dark. You youngins have no idea about having your parlays murdered at 2:00 in the morning because some kid just threw for his 7th touchdown. You guys, you just don't know. And now it won't happen as much, but you have that. In some more news around the country, I want to touch on some WNBA news. Angel Reese. Her historic double-double streak ended at 15. I just want to remind you that Kevin Love had a good streak going in Minnesota before he had his big streak. So keep that in mind. Once Angel Reese gets that jumper down, honestly, it's going to be lights out. I'm not gonna lie. But she's a double-double monster. How so? She is already second all-time in double-doubles by a rookie. So them flowers are going to go out there eventually. Nick, I want you to save that take for a minute here because I am going to touch about that. I do need to let Evan know, although I think he can hear me. Yes. I do need to let him know that he does have some time. I panicked and called him in early, and then I started rambling. So if you need to do anything, man, go ahead and take care of it. You still got a couple minutes. But She is a Angel Reese double monster. Like I said, already set the second all time, and she will break that. Like I said, her and Caitlin Clark, I mean, they're gonna be the two faces of this league going forward. Cameron Brink as well. I mean, you have obviously Asia Wilson, Sabrina Iascu, Kelsey Plum. This is their league, but these girls are coming. Absolutely. And Nick, save it. You're ruining my awards that I got to give away with your comments. But that'll do it for your news around. For the most part around the country. I do want to touch on the Open. As some people call it the British Open, and you're wrong. The Open Championship. Ireland's Shane Lowry and England's Daniel Brown are both tied at 5 under after day one. Some other notables on the board. Justin Thomas, 3 under, was your leader for most of the morning. I was watching on my phone. Xander Schauffele, -2. Brooks Koepka and Scotty Scheffler, both 1 under. And, man, we've got some big numbers on some big guys on the opposite end. Phil Mickelson, +2. Bryson DeChambeau, +5. Rory McIlroy, +7. I will laugh at that as always. My guy Ricky Fowler, +8. 2 of your senior tour guys. Shout out to my pops. Ernie Els, +10. John Daly, +11. And, you know, anytime there's a major tournament, Straub Sports Show, we have Tiger Woods, +8. Tough day. Started with 2 pars and then a birdie, and then went bogey, double bogey, par, and then I think there was a triple. It was not a good day for my guy Tiger Woods. But we have tomorrow. Of course, you love John Daly there, Craig. Of course, I know that's your guy. But yeah, we will see if Tiger can make a historic run to the cut. I doubt that. Course is brutal. Weather's been brutal. They said tomorrow's weather is supposed to be okay. Saturday is supposed to be just awful. So they got to get some high numbers up this week or early in the week so that by the time the weather rolls in, these guys can start to kind of play a little bit more defensively, a little bit more safely. But yeah, that will do it there. Let me throw the banner up because I'm so behind on myself. I didn't even do that. And now that we're done with the news, now that we're done with that, I want to give away some awards. Time for your honorary Straub Bro of the Week, presented to you by Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Don't ride the wave, create your own, and be a Straub Bro of the Week. And just because little bro's here doesn't mean that I'm only giving one away. My first award goes to Landon Straub, my son, as he turned 5 this week on Tuesday. We got a big birthday party going on for him this weekend, but I got to give love to my guy. I did last week. I'll give him some love this week as well. I also want to give some hometown love to our all-star Guardians who came through. Quan with the run, David Fry with an RBI, and Emmanuel Clase with the save. We got a lot of love from the media too. I don't know if you were watching some of the pregame stuff for the Home Run Derby, what you were watching for the All Star Game, but there was a lot of love for Cleveland. So I don't want to hear any. I know you all do the Cleveland against the world stuff regardless, just because it's in your blood. But we got a lot of love. So they need to go out and play ball in the second half, just the way they did in the first half, and you're going to be able to put all of this stuff to rest. So shout out to our All Stars. Excuse me. And we talked a little bit about it, but I'm going to give him back another shout out. Our WNBA rookie stars, 1, Angel Reese, like I said, 2nd all-time rookie doubles. She'll be breaking that soon. And you already know it, Caitlin Clark for breaking the WNBA assist record with 19 assists in a game, breaking Courtney Vandersloot's record of 18. And she joins WNBA GOAT Candace Parker as the only other rookie in WNBA history to score an assist on 50 or more points in multiple games. She's a monster. I'm so glad we're finally far enough into this WNBA season that we started to drift away from this. Well, what did Caitlin Clark do? Angel Reese, stop comparing them. Just celebrate these girls because they're absolutely tearing it up. And because, I always like to hit you in your heartstrings. This is for all my old school, for my older viewers. UNC volleyball freshman Jackie Taylor, that last name might sound familiar to you, will wear the number 21 in honor of her dad, the GOAT, Hurricane legend, Washington Redskins football legend, NFL legend, Sean Taylor, who was taken away from us way too soon. Absolutely awesome to see that she's turned into a monster herself on the volleyball court. And yeah, it's good to see that number 21 staying with the name Taylor in the back. That is amazing to see. So that'll do it for your Straub Bros of the week. Shout out to Austin for the polo, solo dolo polo today. Now, one of the reasons we were going to have Rico on originally is because Rico is going to be covering Mac Media Day, which is tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have a job that pays the bills, so I cannot be there at 8:30 in the morning for Mac Media Day, but Rico will be on hand. The NCAA season is here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's around the corner. I'll be able to finally tote up my Xbox and play the NCAA game tomorrow. I did not buy the deluxe edition. I only have the regular version, so unfortunately, I will not be able to play. But the season is here. Media Day has started. It's been amazing to see Nick Saban on TV to talk about college football. I mean, to have the GOAT out there giving his opinions on teams, because having him so close off of a season, there's some stuff that he's done and some advanced scouting that he's taken care of that he probably wouldn't have just in his media time. So it's been amazing to see him there. Unfortunately, when you put him with Greg McElroy too, it just gets a little too much Bama for me. And these guys just like immediately don't care about any other conference. They think the SEC should have 10 teams in the college football playoff. Vandy should get in no matter what the record is in their mind. So you know how the SEC people get. I love me some SEC, but they get to be a little bit too much. Your 12-team playoff is alive this year, ladies and gentlemen. Your conference championships and then your bye weeks. I do want to give some love because SEC Media Day was, the biggest one, the first one to kick off here. I loved how Kirby Smart's already talking about thinking about this like an NFL season. The modeling it after that, the preseason, less hits, working on those soft tissue injuries. Once again, a lot of these coaches are complaining about NIL and complaining about extra games. And here's Kirby Smart. He's out here playing chess when a lot of these guys are playing checkers. And the reason that, that Georgia has only lost 2 games in 2 years is because of that. So, but I don't want to dive in too much. We're going to do a full NCAA preview when Bro gets back. We're going to dive in conference by conference. There's some big things, that I think are important to point out, Quinn for Heisman. My problem with that is Steve, and I'm glad you brought it up because one of my things I wanted to bring up was Steve Sarkisian talking about how Archie Manning is going to have to play this year. Okay. And the SEC doesn't recruit any more teams. It's kind of funny when these guys come out and they talk. It's strictly to keep Archie Manning out of the transfer portal. Let's be honest. Because if not, there's no reason you're going to tell me that a guy who was lighting it up and took your team to the playoffs and is a Heisman candidate and a Heisman front runner, he's going to split time. I don't want to hear that. But I do want to say this. And this is one of my bigger overviews when I was kind of looking at the season. This is it for everybody. I'm a big fan. You see the Notre Dame gear. Go Irish. But my fans and my friends around the show are Buckeye fans and Michigan fans and Florida State fans. I've got some Penn State fans, South Carolina. Obviously, little bro is all UC. I know some Georgia. And when I say UC, Cincinnati. We all used to have to be perfect. It was the fun of the college football season. You know what I mean? You lost one, you might be out. And especially when it was the BCS era. It's watered down, and I don't want to complain because listen, I could have got in, maybe one loss, but you took some of it away. You can lose the SEC and the Big Ten and maybe even the SEC now or the ACC and still get in. Gone are the days where you have to, actually win your conference. You don't have to anymore. I could finish second. And it's watered down however you look at that. And yeah, we got it wrong sometimes when we were trying to decide between 3 12-0 teams and we had to pick 2. Okay. We absolutely got it wrong sometimes when we were trying to pick 4 and we had 3 teams left with 1 loss. Yeah, we absolutely got it wrong. We got it wrong in the BCS era when we were trying to just pick 2. I think 12 is too much. I think we're going to get to the point where you heard Kirby Smart talk about it. The regular season, yeah, it's very important, but We have to prepare for. They're already having to prepare for a long playoff stretch. I don't want to go into a Notre Dame season where my biggest excitement is, oh man, I'm so excited that if Notre Dame goes 7-3, I can get in. Like what? I don't. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't want to get in. I'm not saying I won't be excited. I don't. Excuse me. And I'm not saying I won't be here smacking helmets, saying go Irish, bringing down my sticker, and doing all the same stuff that I do every week when we do college football. And I'm not gonna say that I don't want that and I don't want to win. But man, like at some point when it's an NCAA tournament style, yeah, you're gonna get some fluke winners. And I'm sorry, that does not mean that they are the best team. When those 8-8 teams back in the day would make a wild card run in the NFL, or because I know they're 8-9 or whatever they are now, but when those wild card teams make runs in the NFL playoffs, we don't sit here and say that that's the best team that there was all year. We say, oh, they got hot at the right time. College football was one of the few sports where there still was no hot at the right time in which you got to be the best all year or majority of the year. So I don't know. That is going to be my issue. I'm going to bitch about it more when we do our college football preview. I'm going to get most of it out now so I can get into, what I want to do and just preview some teams. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've sickeningly watched probably 20 spring games. It's unreal. I have an obsession. I have a problem. I do want to throw out some quick predictions, though. I will say this. I think Georgia is going to be the team to watch for, as always. I know that's an easy one to say, but they have a tough schedule. They open with Clemson. They have Oklahoma, and they have Texas. On that schedule as well. I don't think Ohio State or Michigan is the team that wins out in the Big Ten. I think somebody else is primed to take over there. I'm just going to be honest with you. And Notre Dame, we almost got in it with 3 losses. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. But like I said, I'm going to dive in on my own team a little bit more. I've been keeping on some things. But like I said, the reason I say that for the Big Ten too, because I know all my Buckeye fans in the chat are like, what? We're not going for 14-0? What? We're not going 25-0? We can't beat an NFL team. The Big Ten is super deep now. You've got Oregon, you've got Washington, you've got USC. I think Ohio State still gets into the playoff. But I think new blood takes over the Big Ten in terms of the Big Ten title. And now, if you're in these big conferences, now that you know towards the end of the year, okay, I can get in no matter what, you're going to have some fun stuff happen. You're going to have some teams win a conference title because Ohio State didn't go for it the way that they normally would because they didn't have to win. You're also going to have some teams get left out because of that mentality, and all of a sudden a team didn't play as hard as it was supposed to against a Rutgers or against a San Diego State or against whoever, University, A&M, and all of a sudden they stumble up and now they're out because they didn't take it serious. So it's going to be fun, and I'm going to have some fun with it. I have to. I love college football more than anything other than soccer. College football means the world to me. God, country, Notre Dame. But I definitely think we'll have some delusion and some diluted, but I think we're going to have to find some fun in it. And when we get towards the end there, when we start slotting teams and looking at matchups, that will definitely be the part of it, be the end of it. Real quick, I do want to touch on the Guardians. A big shout out Travis Bazana on being selected first overall by the Guardians in the MLB, MLB draft. 21-year-old second baseman out of Oregon State, 5-tool kid. His first team all freshman. Yeah, first team all freshman with a 902 OPS. Junior year, these splits are ridiculous. 407, 568, 911. I mean, come on. 180 walks compared to 146 strikeouts. I mean, so when you want to talk about plate discipline, there it is. We love that in this organization here. 45 home runs in 3 years. Okay. But 28 and 60 games this year, which are numbers that I really like because that's an improvement in strength. he's becoming grown. I mean, he's 21 years old. He's still a kid, still a child. This show is me, one old man, and just a collection of children that I bring on to talk to me. All you young people, 21 and under. But I like the pick. I know there was some people who wanted the big kid, big Condor, the 6'6" guy. There was some issues. There was some people concerned about his height. I know that's crazy because in what sport do you hear 6'6" and you think what? But in baseball, strike zones are harder for taller guys. You know what I mean? Aaron Judge strikes out a lot. I know he's a great hitter right now, but the minute that eye, starts to lose a bit of that timing, strike zones are harder for taller players. I like the pick. If the kid is that good and he comes up that quickly, Andre Jimenez can move over to shortstop. That's not an issue, or whatever. We start to DH Jose Moore, and when we move Jimenez to third, but we'll see. But I like this kid. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the organization. I've got Columbus and I've got Akron right around me, so I will be super excited to be able to check in and kind of go to some of these games and kind of report to you guys what's going on. Rico McGee, the sportsman, it's already been covering the Ducks and the Clippers, so that's been going on. What's up, Mom? Mom's checking in late. You already know, solo dolo with the solo polo. That's how we're rolling today. And then real quick, I want to touch on the home run derby before I bring in my guest. Teoscar Hernandez won it 14-13 over Bobby Witt Jr., and I mean just won it, as Bobby's last attempt absolutely smacked the wall. To me, this is the best of the home run derbies. I knew Nick was going to come in late with something about that Jimenez could go for a starting pitcher. Hey, I'm not against it. If this kid's ready, bring him up. When he's ready, bring him up. But home run derby, I love these rules. These were my favorite home run derby rules, I think, of all time. I grew up with the old school rules: 10 outs, every hit's got to be a home run or an out. It was great back in the day, but it became long and became very boring. Home run derby shouldn't be 4 hours long. As much as I love to watch Ken Griffey Jr. and Jim Thome and all those guys hit a baseball, they just shouldn't be. But then at the same time, these new rules in the matchups, we started to lose the essence of what the home run derby was. When the ball is going out so quickly, you have got the split screen because I can't even see the ball get pitched. So this year with the 40 pitches, 3 minutes, I really thought it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It made for a great watch. When they got to the bonuses where then it became old school 3 outs, hit for run. I think that brought that old school feel back. You don't need it for everything. I definitely liked getting rid of the head-to-head matchup in the first round to kind of be able to have the pool of guys, which is what we want. If somebody hits 30 home runs and the next guy hits 29, both those guys should go in. I don't care if the other two guys win 15-13. Save that stuff for in the other rounds. I also want to give love. We already did, but our guy Jose Ramirez, 21 first-round home runs, tied the lead there. Did get into the semis. Absolutely gassed himself, though. And was not able to make it out. I'm going to say what I harped on. Josh Naylor, this is your event next year. Josh Naylor makes it to the finals for them. And then the All-Star game itself, Paul Skeens. I mean, let's be real. Paul Skeens. A scoreless first is what we all wanted. What we really wanted was the Pedro and him to just go out and strike everybody out. I'm not going to lie. If you're anybody who's not a non-pirate hating fan, I just don't understand how you wouldn't. And I do want to give some love there because I had the bet on him too. Jose did absolutely great for being plus 1,500. Teoscar did great too because I cleaned on that one too. But the All-Star game itself, like I said, Skeens, shout out to Shohei Ohtani with a 3-run blast. Got your checklist, like I said, Paul Skeens, great inning. Shohei Ohtani home run. For all your casual baseball fans and all your neutral fans, that's everything that you want. For our guys, like I said, Kwan got himself on base. Juan Soto did what Juan Soto does. David Fry, like I said, with an RBI, but it was Jarren Duran's two-run home run that gave the AL the 5-3 win over the NL and win himself an MVP. The first Boston Red Sox to win an MVP in a very long time. And a big shout out to Emmanuel Clase. Our guy got the save as well. If you did tune into the home run derby, You had the pleasure of listening to what I can only describe as the worst national anthem I have ever heard. She then checked herself into rehab, so we're not allowed to make fun of anybody about this, but it was really bad. That was an unfortunate highlight that we wanted, or I'm sorry, that we had to talk about. So, like I said, we're going to do a college football preview, and we're going to dive into almost not every team, but we're going to dive into every conference. But what I wanted to do real quick, number one, on the Straub Sports Show, we don't miss the footy. So we had some finals coming up, but as I talked about with the Cage Thunder MMA, how we opportunity to kind of jump in and do some stuff. I was recently put into contact with Walsh Jesuit High School's head coach, and the Straub Sports Show. We're going to be kind of working with them. We're going to be in touch with the seniors. We're going to talk to coach. We're going to potentially kind of be on site and could cover a game in which the same way that we cover Akron City FC. So what I wanted to do to introduce that to my audience, and because as you see, I'm solo dolo with the solo polo today, I wanted to still talk about the footy. What I wanted to do was, for the second time, which would make him the only guest, non-216 Sports Network, to come on more than once. I wanted to bring on my guy, Evan. Evan, who's been on hold for a minute here. Evan, I'm sorry for bringing you in early and then making you sit around and wait. But welcome to the show.
Glad to be back.
Awesome. So there was some big things that happened. I want to touch on a little bit of the Euro 2024 final and the Copa America final, and honestly, a little bit of just the Copa America debacle in general. But the first thing I want to touch on is, like I said, the Euro 2024 final. And I got to give little bro shout out, because even while he was gone this week, he absolutely still made us his beautiful little, he updated his beautiful little graphic. Evan, it didn't come home. It didn't come home, Evan. Spain went absolutely nuts and went absolutely undefeated throughout this tournament. I want to be honest, or I want you to be honest. Going into this final and before it kicked off, did you actually think it was coming home?
I'm going to be honest, I actually did not think at all it was coming home. I thought Spain, from the beginning of the tournament, they showed why they came to play. They were the powerhouse. They played the best in every single game they played in. And you just look at the history from the beginning of the tournament. You look at who they had to play in the group stage to advance, and they played Croatia, Germany, Italy, France, and then England. Those 5 teams alone are top 10 in the world in terms of talent and teams, and they kind of steamrolled through each of them. And it was no surprise to me that Spain came out with the victory against England.
No, not at all. Specifically for the game, Nico Williams got the scoring going in the 47th minute with a great goal. Cole Palmer with an absolute frozen rope to the side bottom corner netting, unstoppable there. And honestly, England started to press. You actually, as they tied that game, there was a little bit of oh no, and then you saw England. It became a tight game because England were tight and Spain were just biding their time and kind of waiting. And then honestly, in the 86th minute, I had to just kind of copy what Landon and Donovan and Ian Wright were talking about. And both England center backs, Stones and Guy, they fell asleep. And Cucurella put in a great pass, and it got finished home. And Spain takes home their 4th Copa. As you said, Spain was dominant throughout this tournament. England, I mean, let's be honest. England won these games, coming back in each of them. Getting lucky in some, going to penalties. Penalties, you're a soccer player yourself. Penalties are luck. Sometimes, a hot goalkeeper, a guy who misses a ball off the crossbar that doesn't go in. So, a big shout out to Spain. But I want to touch bigger on this tournament. We had some veterans kind of start to fade away in Cristiano Ronaldo. Unfortunately, your Croatia squad. This German team did look good, but you had some older teams, Switzerland. Who for you stood out as your kind of younger players going forward?
If I'm looking at a team that I think had a pretty successful tournament and it was driven by a younger team, but had a, kind of a balance between the veterans, the younger guys that's kind of stepped in, I'm looking at Netherlands. I, to be honest, didn't expect them to make this semifinal at all. And they put up a pretty solid performance against England. It was a little bit more of a stale game, if I'm being honest. But
Yeah.
Netherlands, I think going forward should be pretty confident and happy about their performance in this tournament. They got younger talent, Javi Simons, their goalie from Brighton, Verbruggen. And then on the right, who didn't get as much time as I initially thought would get, is Frimpong. But one of the better defenses, Ake, Van Dijk back there, they definitely, I think, can come out of this tournament feeling successful. And especially with the older talent they have in the middle and no Frenkie de Jong. So I think it was a pretty solid tournament, and I think they exceeded my expectations. So going forward 2 years into that World Cup, I'd feel pretty confident if I was Ronald Koeman.
Absolutely. And the way the Netherlands players are, that culture, the way they allow themselves to be coached. You go into that 26 World Cup with Frankie de Jong back in the midfield, and Memphis Depay coming off the bench in a super sub role. That's not a team I want to play. It's never a team you ever want to play. You never want to play the Dutch. You really don't. But
it was a really, really good tournament for I think the Dutch had one of the better attacks in the tournament. They were constantly providing pressure. They had some flair, which to be honest, think a lot of teams in both Copa and the Euros, they lack creativity up top. They lacked a little urgency up top. They played to the opposition, and I think especially my Liverpool guy, Cody Gakpo, proved his worth, proved his starting position. I think it's going to give the Liverpool new manager some thought on where he will be playing next year, because definitely tied for golden boot of the tournament, 4 goals. But I think he was the highlight of this team other than young star Javi Simons.
Yeah, 100%. I think the problem is when they ran into that England game, I mean, they had to make subs early, and then players had to start playing out of it. They're a tournament too young, and sometimes you get stuck there. And when you're a good team, when you're in every single tournament, you're gonna have those tournaments where you're just kind of in between the generation or the specific talent level that they were. So I definitely agree with you there. I mean, we can't go without talking about the Spanish youngster himself, the 16-year-old Lamine Yamal. I mean, it just an amazing tournament. I mean, the kid wasn't allowed to play past midnight or I think it's 11 o'clock or whatever it is, because of, school regulations, because he's 16 years old. So definitely another one to highlight. Who disappointed you the most?
In the Euros, I think 2 teams that kind of, one from Copa that we can talk about later, but definitely one team that I think disappointed me a lot. And they got a decent with in the tournament, but I'm going to say France. I expected them fully to make some damage in this tournament, prove why they are the second best team in the world in terms of rankings wise. I thought Mbappe was going to have an exceptional tournament. Their experienced midfield, Chouchnemi, Camavinga, Kanté, Griezmann especially, I thought he was going to have a good international performance, but
I mean, Griezmann had a great comeback season, so everything was expected. But yeah,
there just wasn't much there for that team, if I'm being honest. And you can make the argument that Mbappe breaking his nose wasn't expecting, but there's plenty of talent on that team to support him. And to be honest, other than defensively, I was not impressed by anything attack wise for that team.
No, so the Portugal team got a bad rap because it was it's 9 guys and Ronaldo. You saw them play with some flair and some style, and and the individual talent would shine through. They just kept trying to feed Ronaldo. That French team, when it won the World Cup, Mbappe was the best player, and scored a lot of goals, because the rest of that team's individual talent also stepped up in their roles and outside their roles. That French team just kept kicking the ball around, waiting for Mbappe to do something.
It was almost a game of possession. France wanted majority of the ball, but couldn't find width, couldn't find service in the box. It was it was almost in terms of just boring to watch them.
It really was. Yeah.
In terms of from what we've seen in the past, they have been one of the better teams to watch, one of the teams you want to watch when you are watching soccer, especially likes of Dembele, Griezmann, Mbappe, those guys up top. Giroud, who I thought was going to get a little bit more time in this tournament as well.
Yeah.
great finisher coming off a good season with AC Milan, especially, American Christian Pulisic, who, had a good season with him.
Yeah.
And arguably that whole attack is a little bit better than Pulisic. So seeing those guys combined with Giroud would have been a little bit more, I think, beneficial for that team.
Giroud's such an unselfish player too. Especially when he plays with the national team. He makes everyone better. He was the key to that World Cup run. I will only say all of these nice things about him while my brother is not on the show. But yes, ex Arsenal and Chelsea man. But yeah, there was a lot of standing around, and I think it's disappointing too because this isn't. We talk about golden generations for these nations. It's become almost a cliche at this point. This French team is going through one of those. The holdovers from the World Cup team were some of the younger players. They've now been replaced by guys who, in terms of money, prestige, domestic trophies, and where they play, were supposed to be replacements. So Barry, I agree with you on the disappointment coming in from the French side.
You got to look at 2026 and you got to make some important decisions if you're the French manager. Is Theo Hernandez going to be fit? Is Giroud going to be finished? Is Conte even going to be fit for the tournament? You're going to need these younger guys who won't be young at the time. They kind of this is their window, and it's almost like it's a do or die. It's like you win or it's a bust. It's simple, and I can compare this to a Belgium type team who completely missed their window with their talent, and I'd hate to see it happen with this French team.
Yeah. And then, you want to talk about disappointing too. The Belgium team was disappointing. Their golden generation won nothing. A semifinal was all they had to show for it. But I agree. I don't know what needs to happen with the French team. I think it's worth pointing out though. I'm not going to be overly critical of Kylian Mbappe. He's a generational talent. He's a young phenom. This seems to happen when he is the dominant player for his team. That France team that won a World Cup, he was not ball dominant. He was an offset player. Pogba, Conte in that midfield, Griezmann, Giroud, as we talked about, a younger Dembele. Mbappe was a beneficiary of that. His teams at PSG before Neymar and Messi got there were good but not great. Messi and Neymar get there, he becomes a little bit less of the focal point. Those teams actually advance and do further. We come into this year, there's no Messi, there's no Neymar. The team seems to struggle a bit. We get to the national team. We turn the national team over to him like we did PSG. It kind of starts to struggle. Now, when he gets over to Real Madrid, there is no turning the game over or the team over to Mbappe. That's not how Real Madrid works. He's gonna be there with Jude. He's gonna be there with Vinicius Jr. He's gonna be there with Rodrigo. He's not gonna have a choice but to share, which will actually benefit him. So we'll see how he can help translate that on the international level.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when he was younger, he had a sense of urgency to prove people wrong. He wanted to prove who he was, how good he can be. And I think after winning a World Cup, after winning League One, after, winning all these major tournaments, I think it's coming at him a bit in the sense that, yeah, I've won it. People know how good I am. And let's just see how good I can be in this tournament. There's no urgency like when he was younger to be that guy, to be that focal point. And it's definitely going to be interesting with this Real Madrid team because you look at their front three, Rodrigo, Vinicius, and now Mbappe, and then that midfield with Modric, Camavinga, Tuchel, and that rock-solid defense, especially with some of the signings that Real does want to sign, Alphonso Davies. And I have been hearing the rumors that Trent wants a move to Real Madrid. Not so happy about that. But when you do add all that talent to a team, it's very questionable to see how these guys will fit together. And me personally, I think Mbappe is definitely going to strive in this team.
No, I agree with you. And if you like what we're talking about here, make sure you send us your super comments and stickers there on YouTube. If you're there on Facebook, you can send us stars as well on the 216 Sports Network here on Straub Sports Show. So what I would like to do, I'm going to audible a little bit, Evan, we'll switch over to Copa, and then I'll come back because I want to talk about both the United States men's national team coaching situation, and I want to talk about England's. But I want to kind of finish touching on the actual kind of gameplay too. Sound good?
Yep, for
All
sure.
right, so we'll switch over to Copa, the Copa America final. Argentina and Messi 1-0 over Colombia. Whew. Once again, unfortunately, the stuff off the field kind of takes over the game. It happened in the semifinals with Uruguay and Colombia. Unfortunately, Colombia was involved again in a situation that had to do with off-field nonsense. I'm not going to put the Colombian fans under any harsh criticism like we kind of did, where was rightfully lobbied their way during the Uruguayan situation. Not all of the fans, but the ones who were kind of basically attacking families. Cannonball and Copa, they got this wrong. The game was delayed by over an hour and a half because basically they could not get people inside of the stadium because the crowds were overwhelming because the amount of people that were there without tickets. Unfortunately, apparently Miami Stadium is kind of built for this specifically. There are different checkpoints and choke points where you could have kind of wired it off and then proceeded to get people with tickets. I mean, they were going through and they were kicking people out after halftime still because, they couldn't they couldn't get people through. There were stampedes, people were being trampled, people were trying to climb over things. It was awful. I'm going to give a shout out to Marcelo Bielsa, who absolutely just had a scathing press conference where he ripped everybody, CONMEBOL and U.S. Soccer, awful pitch conditions, Bolivia not having a practice field in time to practice. And like I said, the fact that the security was so bad that the Uruguayan players had to go into these stands to protect their families. And then Argentinian players during the final had to leave the locker room to go and try to get their families in safely outside of the crushing, kind of not a riot, but almost stampedes. I don't want to have to see people get killed in this country for us to try to kind of figure out our soccer situation, because it's already been figured out in every other country because they've had these disasters happen way before we have. Somebody in the U.S. Soccer Federation needs to get it together.
Yeah, 100% agree. I just think in general we have a lot to plan and too big of an opportunity in 2026. And I'm not saying that this was good, but it's definitely an eye-opening experience that people need to look at and say, let's regroup. Let's think about how we can make this better going forward towards the World Cup, because this is honestly probably one of the biggest moments in U.S. soccer coming up in the next 2 years, and they can't miss out. They need to do this properly, and it's almost not like they should have expected this, to be honest. Major tournament, Copa America, a lot of people know it. It's identical to the Euros, and they needed to prepare a little bit better for it in terms of that. And just looking to 2026, they have a lot of work to be done.
Oh, 100%. If you think this is bad, CONMEBOL and U.S. soccer, the World Cup is this, just with the European fans added. Okay. And if you don't think that's worse, talk to Germany, who watered down the beer for the England game and, and had to start putting in curfews and things like that. You're going to have all of those South American fans, then plus all those European fans. You're not going to be able to contain this. And on top of that, get your fields together, because it's shameful as somebody who has played soccer in this country and coached and been a part of the game for as long as I've had, to see those fields look like that for a Copa America game.
And along with the fields looking horrific, downsizing the field is not the option as well. I'm a player, and I completely understand that when you take a pitch and downsize it, it's a complete difference. Spacing is off. A player where he normally would be on a field, he might be out of bounds. He might be close. It's a completely different game when you downsize the field. And just adding on to the poor conditions, you could see the patches of grass just barely even down on the field. And it just needs to be better for this next tournament.
Absolutely. And players were injured because of it too. Speaking of a player who was injured, as we kind of jump back into the actual game, Messi, himself got injured. There have been some people who've tried to blame it on the field. I'm as we just leveled them correctly. I'm going to call a stop to that because that's not why Messi got hurt. He tried to extend himself getting to a ball that honestly he should have let go out of bounds. And in doing so, a guy made a challenge and he got rolled up on. It was not good. It was not nice. The ankle was definitely swelled up. But I mean, Colombia hung in there. But after playing through 90 in the 112th minute extra time, the man who has scored time and time again this Copa America for Argentina with his 5th goal, and more important, that goal gives them, and that would be Lautaro Martinez. That gives them back-to-back Copa Americas and a World Cup in between. That has got to put them up right there with the Tiki Taka boys themselves of Spain, who went back-to-back Euros with a World Cup in between. As much as we, as a Ronaldo guy myself, there's really no question anymore. Messi's the GOAT. And this Argentina team is something to be remembered.
Oh, for sure. The talent on this Argentinian team is very, very, very good. They're young. They got experience. They got a good defense, and players come to play at the international level for this team. One guy in particular, Christian Romero, wasn't exceptional this year for Tottenham. He comes to the Argentinian team as a completely different player. In terms of striker position, they got Julian Alvarez, one of Man City's best players, Lautaro Martinez, Inter Miami's arguably best player, 2 goal scorers, 2 decisions that Scaloni needs to address going into the next World Cup, seeing who the starter going forward, and maybe keep flipping and flopping him because they both produce at the high level.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a United States men's national team fan, who we are desperate for informed strikers, it's never bad to just bring 2 who are informed. But yeah, Copa America as a whole was fun. Other than obviously the stuff that kind of we talked about. Obviously we've talked about the disappointing United States men's national team run. I don't want to bury this team anymore because I kind of want to start to move on to the next chapter. That Greg Berhalter chapter is behind us. The United States men's national team has fired their coach, and it isn't just the United States men's national team that is looking for a new coach. England themselves are looking for a new manager after whose name is now escaping my mind.
Gareth Southgate.
I'm sorry. Gareth Southgate has resigned. So England is looking for a new manager. And Evan, before I ask you the question of who should they sign, I almost don't care. And here's the reason why I don't care. All I hear from English fans and England pundits every time they have a new manager is, well, he's too hard on the team, or the tactics are this, or when he wasn't an English manager, they complained that he wasn't English, so he didn't understand the fans and all of this. At what point, what are you going to get on your players and your golden generations for just not showing up? Because I would take Gareth Southgate in a heartbeat, spoiler alert, for the United States men's national team. Okay? And shout out to my guy, Sean, rocking in Whistle Soccer, a big soccer guy himself. Southgate's coming here. Man, I hope so. Because England don't know what they had.
It's almost as if Southgate just didn't know what to do with the players. The talent was all there. They're arguably on paper the best team in the world. So many big names on that team, and it's just there's a point where it does come down to the players. And I think going forward, they need to hold themselves accountable because this tournament, yeah, there were some tactics that were poor, substitutions that could have been made sooner, decisions that definitely could have played a better factor into some of these games for more goals, better results, not, taking it all in at the end in extra time or penalties. But I do think that the players, especially one in particular who had his best season of his career, Phil Foden, 0 games, 0 assists, or 7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. Pretty poor performance for this tournament. And I wanted to see more from him. And in terms of the attack, he's definitely the big name up there for goal scoring. I mean, no other than Harry Kane as well. But the players do need to do a little bit more for this national team.
And that's kind of why I want to turn it back on you for a second. And I don't disagree with you. But Gareth Southgate made substitutions in the knockout stages multiple times that won games. The Ivan Toney substitution, the Ali Watkins substitution. The English media killed him because he started Trent Alexander-Arnold in that midfield role, and it was absolutely awful. Okay, my Liverpool hate aside, it just didn't work. What did Gareth Southgate do? He said, all right, let's try Conor Gallagher. It didn't work. Finally, he made the right move, the genius move, which is to always break glass and pull out the greatest thing you can do, which is a Manchester United midfielder, and you insert him into your lineup because that's the best thing possible. And he inserts Kobe Mainoo, and things get rolling. He makes a couple off substitutions in the midfield role. When he brings Kobe in, he brings Cole Palmer off the bench, what they've been screaming for. He scores goals, and he makes the right decisions. Harry Kane runs from pressure. So what did he do? In extra time or in the 80th minute or in the 70th minute as the tournament went on, he pulled Harry Kane out of there because I'm not going to allow you to make a fool of yourself. At what point, like I said, Luke Shaw wasn't fit. He gave Phil Foden every start and every bit of minutes. Phil Foden didn't do anything. Phil Foden didn't make those runs that I've just been tired of watching at Manchester City, as he just slices through defenses and he looks like some of the best players in their prime and he scores goals. He didn't show up. You know what I mean? It's at some point when is it on those guys? You named Real Madrid starting midfield and you didn't even name Jude Bellingham because he had a tournament to forget -1 goal in which he saved England.
Yeah, for sure. Well, going forward for England, I think this is a good opportunity from them, a fresh look. I think the new manager coming in is going to have some very, very big decisions for this team and bigger tournament play and friendlies just to test some things out. But you saw what worked in this tournament, and I'm gonna be honest, majority of it was on the bench starting the tournament. And you got to look at those players and say they stepped up in the moment. I think they get the first team reps. And until those other players that got the opportunity that weren't changed through the tournament, like Foden, even if Kane can still hold himself up for the next World Cup, which I hope he does, because he's a good player. Not in this tournament, though, nor was Phil Foden. There was some big shining names like Crystal Palace defender Mark Gui, exceptional through all the games until the last 20 minutes of that Spain game.
Yep.
Very good tournament for him. Poor tournament for Kyle Walker. 4 of those goals that England did concede were majority of his fault. You got to look at just cleaning things up in a whole.
And if only you had a guy who played in that position. Oh, wait, you did, but you started him out of position because you tried to experiment. Trent Alexander-Arnold should have been on the field somewhere. Okay, when Luke Shaw wasn't ready, he should have been somewhere. I think Harry Kane becomes a super sub for the World Cup, and I think that's great. How awesome would it be to bring on somebody like Harry Kane late in the box? I think the problem for this England team is the third midfielder because I mean we just got to be honest. Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham are going to be in that center. Going to be the center of that pivot for a long time. And until Foden either steps up on that international level or somebody else shines through, they're gonna struggle because and I agree with you. There was guys off the bench, Cole Palmer. Will he be that starter in that position? Will Ali Watkins, will someone else come through, a young English striker? They're going to hype somebody up. Where will Marcus Rashford be in that time? Where will Jordan Sancho be in that time as well, for World Cup? They've got some decisions to make. Now, coaching-wise, what would you do if you were England?
If I was England, I would go out and get Newcastle coach Eddie Howe. From what he's done with that team over the past 5 years, you look at their roster now, and they got a really, really solid starting 11. Good players up top: Isak, Almiron, Bruno Gamache, all those type of players that he's pretty much built up. And he comes in with a pretty fresh perspective. One Newcastle player on that England team, Anthony Gordon, didn't get enough for me. I like him as a player. He's really, really fast. He's technical. He can make things happen. And I've seen a couple interviews. He wants to do stuff when he gets out on the field. he's begging to get out on the field. He works to play, and it didn't result in this tournament. But I definitely would bring in Eddie Howe, fresh perspective. It gives a big priority for him to manage this big England team with the talent they have. But I do think that with the decisions that need to be made, especially one player that was left out of this roster, which I don't know how, because I'm a fan of him, is Jack Grealish. The experience, the flair he has on the ball, the opportunities he creates. He might not start, but you bring him on and he will do something. He's got a good ego for the game. He wants to score, he wants to create opportunities, and it was a mistake leaving him off this roster. And I just think it cost them those little mistakes that they didn't have. They didn't make subs, stuff like that. It cost them in this tournament.
I think sometimes these international coaches can sometimes become over obsessed with form. There are guys, when they put on the national team jersey, we talk about it on our show all the time. I don't care what Serginho Dest's club form is. I don't care what Christian Pulisic's club form is. When he puts on the red, white, and blue, something happens, and there's another form that come out of there. There are two specific players, and I'm glad you mentioned them, because I love both players individually, and they happened one place for my team and one place for one of my rivals, but not just Jack Grealish, my Jackie boy, as I call him all the time here on the show, Marcus Rashford. Both of those players, when they put on the England jersey, something else comes out of them. There's another level that gets taken. And I think both of those players would have really, really helped that England offense when it started to stifle and it started to constantly backtrack after goals. I think those are players that sometimes, and you find them a lot in some of the further European and especially in the South American teams, where it's a guy who will just go, you know what? I'm going to take all three of you on. Or if you're going to bring one out here, I'm going to put this guy on the ground and I'm going to take him on. And that England team lacked that. So I definitely, I like that Eddie Howe selection. I mean, for me, if you want to put names, I don't exactly have one. I did hear that apparently they'd be willing to wait on Pep. I actually think if they could do it, because when all of the United States men's national team fans were started talking about some of these bigger names, and I rolled my eyes and I laughed, because that is a team that Pep would coach. And England could afford to wait. I think England is going to bring out the truck, and I think England is going to really, really try to get a big name.
And it's almost a little bit unfortunate that the England position's open and the United States men's national team is open as well, because if I'm a coach and you look at who you want to go manage, I want to go manage the team that has a squad of 18 world-class players that I can walk into them, find a good form, find an 11, and we can be successful. And then when you look at that US team, you say, wow, there's a lot of work to be done. Some of the pieces might be there, but there's a lot of work.
And you know what? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
And the hardest thing is too, when you compare federations, obviously if you go player for player, you're going to name way more England players that you would take over us Americans. What also hurts us is if you go through the federation, you're also going to go through a federation that clearly wants to win in England, and in ours that sometimes wants to be the Oakland Athletics and the Cleveland Guardians, and they want to nickel and dime, and they want to try to skirt through and kind of do the bare minimum, even though they overpaid Greg Berhalter in the past. We don't always go and do what's actually best. So yeah, you're gonna pick England over the United States of America. Speaking of which, as you said, that United States men's national team job is open. A name has currently started to rise up the ranks, and it was a guy that I didn't put it down at first. It was just his name continues to get mentioned for these big jobs, but he never gets them. I don't know if he's not taking them or what, but it's former Arsenal midfielder, World Cup winner, Champions League winner, Patrick Vieira. What are your thoughts on that?
I personally would love it. I think he brings a completely new attitude, a completely new perspective into this team. I think one of the things that the U.S. lacked was discipline this season or this tournament, and they were way too comfortable. Mm-hmm. I think that they thought that they should be awarded for their World Cup quarterfinal trip. Yeah, Weah, his lack of discipline with the red card, yeah, it happens. But I think completely they're way too comfortable at where they sat. When you look at teams like Colombia who have done nothing, but they have such a good passion, such a good urgency, and
Yes.
they perform. The US hasn't done anything in the past 5 years to where I can say, yeah, I'm comfortable where we are. I don't expect us to be that that bad, but I expect us to do good things. And I'm just not convinced that the talent right now is where it should be with this team. And I think it can be there, but by being too comfortable with this team, it's not something that I think the US did good on this tournament. And Vieira, he brings a strict motive. He brings more of a direct attitude that I want this player. I don't want you anymore. He comes in with an opportunity to make massive, massive changes. And I think his search to bring soccer to the US, I think it could be beneficial for this team.
Spot on. If you are a fan of this show, or if you're running back old episodes and you've come across mine and Drew's rant about Greg Berhalter, it's something that I brought up, and it's something that Evan just touched on: the lack of discipline with this team. And I think part of it was, like we've talked about, Greg Berhalter has been with these kids since they were young, and I think at some point these young kids need challenged. These young kids are playing overseas domestically, and even the ones that are playing in the MLS are being challenged. Now they have a head coach that doesn't challenge them as much. I think Patrick Vieira would be perfect. The reason would be, now I was okay with Stevie Cherundolo, and I still would be. I like Stevie, but the reason I think Vieira would be better is, like you said, not just challenging. At some point, these United States men's national team players have been told since they were 17 years old that they are the golden generation. And at some point, I can't fault them for believing it, regardless of how I feel about how their attitude is. I'd believe it. Okay. There's no one, Evan would believe it. There's no way you wouldn't when you've been given these opportunities, and you see, that these kids are getting the caps that they are at the ages that they're getting, when that's never happened before. Yes, because you're the golden generation and you have the most talent.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Vieira would bring in, and would be the first time a lot of these guys, until they got to their coach overseas, had a coach that looked at them and said, you ain't golden at anything. And if you do not put your work in, Tyler Adams, you're going to go sit on the bench. Weston McKennie, you're not going to play. Christian Pulisic at Chelsea, you're not going to play. Jonas Musa for a little bit of time in Valencia there for, when he wasn't getting the play. Talk to some of these guys who aren't existent anymore. Conrad de la Fuentes, some of these guys who got chances at bigger clubs and then were just thrown to the wayside. You know what I mean? It would be nice for Patrick Vieira to come in and kind of set some guys straight and let them know, I'm not going to get rid of you because I need you, but you're going to perform at another level and a better level, or you might get dropped.
Yeah, for sure. I think in the locker room, in the team huddle, Berhalter was the guy that, look what we've done. Look what we've accomplished in the 2 years. Quarterfinal in the World Cup. We're in the Copa. We have a good group. We're hosting it. Vieira comes in and says, you guys haven't won anything. There's been nothing done in the past five years with this team. And it's mediocre to me. I want to move by that. I want to be better than that. And I just don't think Greg Berhalter had that extra step in him to bring this team to not be mediocre. I think he was just there to, I don't know. The guys liked him. The guys all liked him. But when you have an opportunity to get a former class player like Patrick Vieira on to manage a team with such a big opportunity and a big window, they cannot mess up in the next 2 years. I think you got to go for it.
I agree. And I don't want to not talk about this more because I don't want to talk to you about it specifically, or talk to you. I hate, well, let's throw out a list of coaches, and I had to turn my brother off of because he still did the list, and I painfully went through it. But we know some of these names. There's pros and cons all around. I'm definitely going to have you back on when we actually hire a coach, because I'd like to do, once we get a guy in, me, you, and Drew sit down and kind of go over what we like, what we don't like, what we could potentially see change, and things like that. So that gets us off of the game, the international game, and all of that. I want to kind of come back home. I had the pleasure of, obviously, as you know, on the Straub Sports Show, of covering Akron City FC this year. What you may not have known is behind the scenes. That is where I got to meet Evan. Evan has done some he handles the social media and the graphics during the games. He's done some PA announcing. He created his own TIFO. First thing, how awesome was it to kind of come on and be a part of this team, kind of the same way I did, and watch them turn around from a team that won 3 games to a team that finished second, set some records for wins, some goals. They finally beat Cleveland FC, made it to the playoffs, won a playoff game. How exciting was it to kind of come along and be a part of that team for this run?
It was an awesome opportunity I was given. I thank Nick Turch and I thank Logan Congrove for, giving me this big opportunity, because it was funny. I just got a DM from Logan. Didn't really know him. He's worked with, the Walsh Jesuit girls soccer team for many years now with his dad and everything like that. I just get a DM from him asking if I want to come help and be an intern graphic designer with Akron City. And I knew going into it that the results weren't there in the past. And it was just, winter kind of rolled around and graphics here and there, not too active. And then we started to sign some guys. And as soon as we started to sign some of these guys who I've known from watching college soccer, just big names from the area, I started to get really, really excited because I knew what this group could deliver. You got guys like Sarver, Stefan, Giannis, Ohio State guys, Tommaso, Patrick, all these big names from around the area. And I knew this team was not going to be like the 2, seasons from previous of Akron City. So I got very excited, and it just we kind of built up as the year rolled around. PA announcing graphics. I kind of just got a little bit more comfortable in the position I was in. But once again, I met a lot of new people, a lot of new connections, and I'm really grateful for the organization to give me an opportunity.
No, I agree 100%. I echo that. I first got into contact with Nick just because, like I said, we got introduced last year, and I was able to kind of I wasn't really able to take a look, I should say. And when we started doing this show, for me, it was like, wait a minute, a local team that I can cover, that it was out of the high school and college level, where sometimes within NCAA restrictions, it gets harder to get access and stuff like that. And honestly, Nick and Logan have been amazing in what they've given the Straub Sports Show in terms of being able to, we've interviewed, the stuff we did at Media Day. Shout out to that Media Day video. It's at 1.5K on the YouTube page. So it's been viewed a bunch of times. It was awesome. You absolutely see a big shout out to Coach Andy Hogarth. He's been amazing to talk to. He's a great coach. He's also Walsh Walsh University's head coach. And you can see why. Just like I said, a great coach. Yeah, the players you brought in that were brought in, you could kind of see it, it coming together. As me and my brother kind of came in and we're learning some of these names and familiarizing ourselves with some of these names. You could tell that something nice was getting put together. And I'm excited to see what continues. If they keep coaching Hogarth there, he's going to continue to bring guys. The biggest thing for them is going to be how often can you bring in a younger core guys and keep them together? Because Steel City is definitely going to be somebody to reckon with for years to come as they put together their camp. But yeah, it was awesome to be working with you. Like I said, you got to do some sideline reporting, some stuff like that. It's how we got you a part of the show. But Akron City FC doing this stuff with the World Cup. It's time to get down to some business with you, my guy. You are going into your senior year at Walsh Jesuit Walsh Jesuit High School. Evan is a wing. He gets forward and he scores goals. Now I don't want to get into too many of my questions because I've got good ones and I want to kind of save them for when I get in and I talk to you guys. But I want to talk to you about this. You've got to do something that, a lot of players would like to do, but you spent your summer still involved in the game, doing your summer senior practices, but being around Akron City FC. So how about what week or month into the Akron City FC schedule were you like, all right, man, I'm ready. I need my season to get rolling.
Honestly, it was probably week 2, week 3. I'm a big fan of just college soccer in general, just high quality players from around the area, other states, college kids. And it comes to a point when I'm watching where it's like, I want to be out there. I want that to be me. I want to get out there and start playing with my team. And it just I kind of got really urgent to start the season for Walsh with summer practices and stuff and scrimmages that we've had here and there. But yeah, it's definitely hard watching from the sidelines, even though you are, having fun doing your job, doing the stuff you enjoy. But yeah, it was a great season, and I'm just looking forward to high school season after what I've watched from all summer.
No, I understand. It's a lot easier for you because then when you go get to move and like you physically walk forward and run, you can still do that. I get that same anxious feeling and I want to kick a ball and I want to run and then I walk and everything hurts and I'm like, maybe I won't. So you're going into your senior year. There's big expectations. I know you're going to put a lot on yourself and I know you're going to put some, on the team as well. What for you? And the reason I'm going to single you out is you're not there in school yet. Team hasn't started. Personal goals for you. Couple of things you've written down in the notebook or, on the chalkboard or where, logged in the notes section on the iPad or on the iPhone. What are some things that you want to accomplish specifically for yourself this year?
I think it just goes as simple as goals. Last year we had second team All State Carter Madden, 23 goals on the year, top scorer in Ohio. One of the big reasons why we got to where we got last year, and now he's gone. He graduated, so I think I have a big shoes to fill, and it's just going to come down to how many goals I can score and how I can help this team get to where we need to be, because the talent's there. It's just a matter of how my teammates and myself can step up into these bigger shoes that were full last year.
That's well said. And it's a lofty expectation to put yourself, and want to fill those shoes as well. You guys have a good schedule. I started to dive.
A pretty demanding schedule for teams wise compared to last year. We got a lot of bigger schools out there, more soccer teams that have winning experience in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see what we can do this season.
So as you started to put on these senior workouts and you're kind of starting, to get things rolling. Do you see a team that you feel like is ready to make a run this year? I don't want you to call anybody out. I don't want you to we're no bulletin board material. We don't do any of that here on the Straub Sports Show. But do you think this team can make a run this year?
Oh, 100% for sure. One of the pros about this team is myself included with a lot of my other senior teammates. We were pretty there. There's a good 8-9 now seniors on the team that were on the team last year, and kind of just the experience is there. We all played in the big moments last year. Didn't end how we wanted to, losing to Medina in a tough way, but we got there. That's farther than we've been in a long time. So I think carrying on to this season is just the experience that some of my teammates and I have that can go a long way with this season compared to the likes of Ignatius, Medina, Brunswick, those bigger teams in the area. So I think it's going to be really good for us to have those core guys come back and help the younger side, the underclassmen in this season, just achieve.
Absolutely. So we look forward to it. Like I said, I got a whole list of questions already for it, but we're gonna save them because I want to save that for when we get together and we do this. But I want to thank you, like I said, for coming on and talking your own Copa, touching in with Akron City FC. Like I said, when we get back in next year with Akron City FC, I will maybe see you. Who knows where in the country you will be at that time, sir. We won't do any spoilers as you begin your senior year, and we kind of check back in with you as you kind of finish up that journey as you get ready for college as well. So good luck to you, sir. I really appreciate you being on with us today and kind of, making sure that the footy still happens on every episode of the Straub Bro Sports Show. I'm going to throw you into the queue. I'm going to finish up the show, and then I'm going to pop back in and have a conversation with you real quick as soon as we're done. It sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. Thanks, Evan. Thank you a lot, Evan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right, and that is Evan. Like I said, back full screen with my big face all in front of it. I want to thank you all for being with us here on another episode of the Straub Bro Sports Show. No little bro today, just big bro, solo polo. I want to thank you all for being with us. We had some good viewership. We had some good comments throughout. Thank you for joining us here on the 216 Sports Network, the 216 Sports Network. That's where you can find all of us. You can find us on Facebook and you can find us on YouTube. Facebook, follow and like. On YouTube, like and subscribe. That YouTube page for the 216 Sports Network is at 5K strong. Not 5K like the race, 5,000 subscribers strong. We really, really, truly appreciate. And that's where you can find all of us. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee. Shout out to Rico McGee. He actually just hit me up. We are going to do some stuff when he comes back from Mac Media Day. He'll have some, he'll definitely have some more stuff to throw at us than just preview it. Outside interference and the Straub Bro Sports Show. As always, the Straub Bro Sports Show. You can find us all over the place. You can find us on the 216 Sports Network, Facebook and YouTube page, but you can also find us all over social media on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Twitter or X at Straub Bro Sports, on Spotify, where you can catch up on everything. You can catch up on all of our episodes. I'm going to be uploading 3 episodes tonight. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind, but all 3 episodes will go up, including tonight's. That'll bring us past 50 episodes of the Straub Bro Sports Show. Yeah, I wish Little Bro was here to celebrate that, but we are past 50 episodes, so those will go up. And while you're following us on all those social medias, one of the most important ones right now, follow the Instagram page, Straub Bro Sports Show. That's where you will catch all our interviews with Akron City FC, and that's where you'll catch our upcoming stuff with Combat. With Cage Thunder MMA. Like I said, that's where you're going to find all those interviews that we do, some of the prelim stuff, the pre-fight show, and like I said, those post-fight interviews. That is July 27th at Chappelle's in Akron, Next Gen Fight Series 2. Like I said, make sure you go to CageThunderMMA.com for tickets, and if you can't make it, make sure you check the pay-per-view out. Like I said, we will be there, and then they have a big show coming in August. Another shout out, KZ Productions. We are on their Facebook and YouTube page today as well. So thank you. Make sure you like and follow them just like you do the 216 Sports Network, so you can find all of us. As I've kept talking about all day, solo poloed out. Shout out to my guy Austin Fink over at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Make sure you follow them on Instagram. I give them lots of shout outs because they give lots of shout outs to us and we do some work together. Create Your Own Wave 2021. And make sure you go to the website, CYOWapparel.myshopify.com. Don't ride the wave. Create your own. And we're not done. Oldtimecandy.com. Get all your candy needs. Get you a box of your retro candy. Use promo code SBSS to get 15% off of one of these amazing boxes of candy. I'm not just doing it because the box I sent it to me. It's an amazing box of candy. Anybody who's ordered one, who's been affiliated with the show, has absolutely sent me a message on the side and went, hey, dude, this is really nice. So make sure you give them a shout out as well. And that'll do it for us here on the 216 Sports Network here on the Straub Bro Sports Show. Make sure you check in us next week. We will be doing a very, very big college football preview show. I'll be putting Little Bro on the spot. I'll be making him give me 12 teams. But in the meantime, you have yourself an enjoyable weekend. I got a birthday party I got to go get ready for this weekend. Yes, I need to start getting ready for it tomorrow because I need to play NCAA all day tomorrow. You have a great rest of your week. And please remember to, as always, love yours.